In this video, we will talk about how to find the surface area of a triangular prism. So let's check out an example here. Let's say we have this triangular prism and we want to find the surface area. So that's the area of all of the faces on the outside of the prism. So how can we do that? Well, let's write a little formula. Let's say surface area, I'll abbreviate it as SA, is equal to, the first thing that we need to find is the surface area of this front triangle right here. And what you'll notice about a triangular prism is that this front triangle will be identical to this back triangle right here. So all we have to do is find the area of one of these triangles and then multiply it by 2 to get the area of both triangles. So how can we do that? Well, to find the area of a triangle, we just need the base times the height, and then we multiply that by 1/2. So if we call this 3 inches right here, this length, let's call that the base of this triangle. And let's call this 4 inches right here. So this dimension, let's call that the height. So what we can write is 1/2 base times height. And remember, we have 2 triangles, so we'll say multiplied by 2. So that gets us the triangles. Next, we need to find the area of this bottom rectangle down here. So how can we do that? Well, we know that the area of a rectangle is found by multiplying one side by the other side. So we said that we'll call this the base. Let's call this 10 inches right here. We'll call that the width. So we'll label it W. So if we just do B times W, we can get the area of this bottom rectangle. So we'll say plus B times W. Okay, next let's find the area of this back rectangle back here. So how can we find the area of this rectangle? Well, that would be this dimension right here, so the height multiplied by this dimension right here, which we already labeled the width. So we can say plus H times W. And then lastly, the last face that we have to find is this top face right here of this rectangle. So how can we find the area of this face? Well, that would just be this dimension. So again, the width multiplied by this dimension. So we're going to call this dimension the slant height, which we're told is 5 inches. So we'll label that as L for slant height. So we just need to do W times L to find the area of this front rectangle. So we'll say plus W times L. So that's it. This is the formula that we can use to find the surface area of this triangular prism. Okay, so let's plug some numbers in and find out what the surface area is. So you'll notice right here when we have 1/2 times 2, 1/2 times 2 is just equal to 1. So actually we can just cross these values out. So we can say surface area is equal to base times height, so 3 times 4, 3 times 4, plus, next we have base times width, so that's 3 times 10. Next we have height times width, so the height is 4, the width is still 10, so we'll say 4 times 10. And lastly we have width times the slant height, so that's 10 times 5. So let's write that, 10 times 5. Okay, let's see what we get. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 times 10 is 30, plus 4 times 10 is 40, plus 10 times 5 is 50. So we get 12 plus 30, that's 42, plus 40 is 80, plus 50 is 132. So we get 132, and remember the units we're working in are inches, so we'll say inches squared, since we're talking about surface area. So this is our final answer. The surface area of this triangular prism is 132 inches squared. So you can use this same process to find the surface area of any triangular prism. Simply find the surface area of the 2 triangles and then add the surface area of the 3 remaining rectangles in the figure.